tarina, jonka mä löysin.
Кто вы такие?
mistä se näkee, että kumpi on
Ylempänä oleva on kotijoukko.
Well, there's at least until 4:15 or so, and I'm here with the bike, so it's quick for me.
Oh, okay, yeah. Actually, if you've seen the Toyko, she was asking earlier, you might just point her to how you're going.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, that'll work.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll catch you around.
See you later, and listen to you later.
Yes. Okay, so actually I could put my headphones back on so that I can hear myself. The compost studio in just a second. I'm going to take a survey from those of you who are on IRC.
The organized compost studio ever.
Okay.
So my name is Frankie. We have done just on the listening music, aka the Finnish metal.
Okay, I'm just going to let you guys listen.
DJ Yogi, and we have T101 here, and maybe if our present entry is here, T101, can you start?
First of all, I have to say I just love it when you speak and I can hear your voice booming and echoing in the background there. It's just awesome. I know. Where would you like me to start?
Just go with your favorite entry out of the 13. Well, 12, because you can Lego as well.
I had quite a lot of favorites there because
Add music. Käytä sitä kytkintä sitten. Ei mitään. Pidän grafiikosta ja äänipiiristä.
The abstract act of pressing a button to play a jump animation
will never equal the experience of performing a jump. Adding more complexity for more actions just pushes us even further away from a real experience. The idea of VR is not to interface with a machine, but to interface and recreate the full range of our physical sensory system without you noticing. The goal is to completely cut out the conscious abstractions between the user and the simulation, to bypass physical reality and directly interact with simulation without any conscious proxies within reality. If successful, our mental models see the simulation as reality. Our unconscious senses tell us virtual experience feels like real experience. Of course, we are consciously aware that reality exists, but we can suppress awareness with little effort. We had the first generation of sufficiently good headsets, and input systems are the biggest problem at the moment. Controller abstractions are still necessary, and the sense of touch is essentially completely missing. Today we are stuck between two mediums, like a portal between the real world and the virtual world. We observe the virtual world on the other side, and then interact with abstractions on the other. There's a lot of interesting new controllers coming to try to solve this problem. So is it a gimmick? It's just the first piece. These baby steps in a new medium. Media keeps asking film directors about VR, and they are the wrong people to ask. They may be passive film-like experiences with VR, but they will not replace or even compete with traditional film. It's a very different art form. We made this Fruit Ninja clone game at Millennium Gadget Jam. And you stand on a small platform and use your sword to hit some stuff and does with your body. And this is a game without any abstractions. You only have to shot the sword in your hand and use your body to move. Then you can freely move around in the play area. This was really immersive. The mental model was intact. Based on how the abstraction context in third-person games work and how intuitive the Hydra manipulation feels, I wanted to take that man-machine interface we're used to in tank games and such, tank films and such, and smuggle that inside the simulation, set it between the player avatar and the simulated world, see if it works as well as it does in reality. VR is awesome. It's not here yet. Be patient. It's coming.
So what's the main improvement?
Not as many. Better resolution, positional tracking, low persistent display.
Let's say, no. From here.
Every time I'm telling something that he already told you, especially if he said it's totally different what I'm saying, just point your hands and say, please stop. Alright, so my name is Olli Sinermo. I'm the co-founder and project lead of MindFit Games, a virtual reality studio in Helsinki, Finland. We founded the studio in 2013, and now we are working with our first product called Valet. Usually in my presentations I begin with talking about things like you're living the most interesting time in the history of humankind. We have been building permanent human space stations on the orbit, landing small rovers on distant planets. Our own cars will eventually start driving themselves. Of course, we have this thing called the internet, which connects pretty much the whole humanity together. And to make more of these Star Trek technologies, in near future we will have virtual reality. So, did Paul already tell you why virtual reality is now possible? What is the one more Star Trek science fiction technology that pretty much everybody of you has? You just enabled it. You know it. Yeah. He said cell phone, I think. Cell phones. Well, smartphones with the quick, extremely high resolution screens have made it possible. Games are a form of entertainment for humans. This is from year 3100 BC. Senate board games were invented at that time. 9th century China, card games. Nowadays we have a couple of new gaming modes, say mobile, which everybody is talking about, especially in Finland, which is totally rocking on the App Store sheets. And of course, PC and console. I'm not totally sure why we are anymore like separating these two, because eventually, very short time, say 5 years, the next generation and the generation after that one, they will probably be combined. What is virtual reality to this? At the moment, virtual reality is just a screen. It's just one more, well, sort of like what Virtual Boy was, but we are doing things that will totally be different than what it was at that point. Besides movies, of course, watching sports events, whatever entertainment you enjoy, traveling. You can go to Egypt without getting your stomach sick. You can land on different planets without dying instantly. It can be used for psychological things. Say, for example, in this one, healing arachnophobia. Architecture. Our office is in Merihaka, so this is like a really hard thing for us, that architects are forced to watch what they are doing before it's implemented. And of course, training people, training astronauts in safe environments, training firemen, training surgeons, doing surgery from far away. All of this becomes possible. And of course, soldiers, training in safe environments. But do you guys know what is the real killer app? What is the thing that will sell virtual reality to every household? Somebody is already thinking about it. You are thinking about it. You are exactly the right age. Hell yes. Porn. Porn really well works on virtual reality. Trust me, I know. If this was virtual reality 20 years ago, virtual reality nowadays looks like this. That's Euro Truck Simulator. When you combine that game with virtual reality headset, with the pedals and a wheel, it's just quite of real. Virtual reality is really young. It's almost as young as the inventor guy, Paul Maraki, who put that thing out in 2012 as Kickstarter, asking for mere $250,000 and gaining 2.5 million. 2 years later, selling the whole thing for $2 billion to Facebook. Now it's a platform that is competed by Sony, by Facebook, probably Google, very likely Microsoft, and whoever. Samsung is going to be there also. That's from Steam Dev days. That's probably one of the most sophisticated virtual reality kits at the moment. And when you look at it, you probably see that it's pretty archaic at the moment. But yeah, that thing is quite awesome. When you're moving into the room with 2 Samsung Galaxy Notes in front of your eyes, and you can watch under tables inside the virtual reality world, duck things that are coming towards you, and move freely in that room. It starts to feel sort of like the holodeck. It's not the holodeck. You have still the thing on your head, but it's getting there. It's really interesting. The thing about the technology is that we are pretty far with eyes, but what we are really missing, especially for me as a game developer opinion, is interaction devices. So we have Razer Hydras here, I think, today. Excellent. So I definitely recommend trying it if possible. That thing is pretty awesome. Another hand option would be the Control VR, which I think looks really promising. It's pretty much the same, but the big thing that it has, I think, 12 sensors for each hand, enabling fingers. It's a lot of things there. Some technologies that are really good for VR didn't really start from there. Say, PlayStation Move. PlayStation had Sony had a problem thinking that what kind of games work on that device. Not many do, but with VR, you don't know how stupid you look with those things in your hands. So instantly Sony got hand controllers for itself. Well, now we are talking about we have eyes, we have hands, then the feet. That's Valet2 only, one of the first devices to do feet. It was really popular in games developers convention. Nobody almost got to try it because the lines were so long, almost as long as on the Oculus booth. I'm not totally sure on that one. I have heard good things about it and bad things. I think this one, the Cyberith Virtualizer, is much more interesting. It's not there yet either, but at least it enables jumping and crouching. So we are getting there. So now we have feet, we have hands, we have eyes. What am I missing still? We have one more device where we are really far. One more virtual reality device. Somebody from the front. Smell. Do we have smell devices? Like personal equipment, yeah? We're talking about your ears. That's the virtual reality device where we are really far. I think many virtual reality developers even forget that when you put on the headphones, close your eyes, you can be sitting in the hockey match, you can be in the opera house, you can have a guy firing gun behind you. So audio, that one I think is one of the most important things that we can at the moment work with virtual reality. Eventually, virtual reality will catch up with what are mobile now, what is PC gaming now. It will not only catch up with it, it will surpass it. In the same sense as PC gaming has surpassed board gaming, virtual reality will have an advantage against normal flat screen gaming. It will not destroy it, it will stay there, but it will provide much more immersive presence into the gameplay. Totally different. This is our first product, Pollen. We have been working with it for now, if we count along with the pre-production, 8 months, 6 months in production. But as a game developer, as a 5-person indie studio, there's no point for us to start competing with Forza or Pokken or Eve Valkyrie or whatever are coming there. So we decided to take a genre, not so well known, the first-person exploration adventure. This was released yesterday.
A graphic representation of data, abstracted from the backs of every computer in the human system. Unthinkable complexity, lines of light ranged in the non-space of the mind. Clusters and constellations of data, like city lights receding. The word cyberspace really is so loose that nowadays it is said to have 28 different meanings, one of which just is a metaphor for the internet. And similarly, cybersex has become diluted to just meaning pornographic camp performances online, illegal in the Philippines now. Just back a bit, the concept of this direct neural interface is massively interesting. I would love to talk for another hour about that. Time does not allow. It's basically what represents the hardcore end of the spectrum of the vision of what virtual reality should become in the future. And it's quite possible. 1984, The Leap, the large expanse extra perspective panoramic stereophotography system, forms the base for the wide-angle stereo window. Up to this point you always had a limited stereo window, and you had all sort of artifacts, distortion and the edges, and this guy figured out the lenses, how to make it fully encompass your field of view, and it's all sharp and nice. It's a selfie showing the inventor Eric Howlett. 1985, NASA Vivid Virtual Environment. This was the first cheap VR set for around $2,000, later changed to the Virtual Interface Environment Workstation. The NASA Data Glove, brutally uncomfortable looking and clumsy. 1985, Jaron Lanier. He popularized the term virtual reality and was working with NASA on these goggles and gloves projects. He was a pretty spacey guy. He was thinking of all this stuff that all you can do is be creative in virtual reality. It would free the imagination of the masses, help people to communicate and bring a new kind of spiritual understanding. The VPL Data Glove cost $8,500. 1988, the Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme had the first commercially produced automobile with a head-up display, 1989, the first commercial head-mounted display, rather unfortunately named Cyberface. It's by the same guy Howlett who made the Leap before the Leap was used in most of the systems during this time. 1989, Autodesk used Timothy Leary, the LSD prophet, in an early promotional film. This sparked articles with names like Electronic LSD, the Cyberdelic Experience. This may not have been a good move in retrospect, as the links between 60s drug culture and virtual reality in the 90s were alienating to the general public. It seemed like VR attracted the attentions of self-styled cyberpunks and hackers. It was viewed as self-indulgent, hedonistic. Stories started appearing in the mainstream press warning of the dangers of addiction to VR experience, troubled by the potential psychic damage VR might cause. Now, the actual danger of addiction to VR at this point had absolutely no clinical basis. The technology barely existed. But rest assured, now that the new boom is coming, we will have plenty more of that. 1989, the Power Glove. The first attempt to bring it to the masses. What a horrible, horrible flop. 100,000 units sold, but it had no actual VR display involved. A handful of games, it flopped. Bad start, bad start. 1990, the first Battletech Center opened in Chicago. Half a dozen or so of these highly specialized entertainment simulator facilities are still operational today. This sort of marks the 90s boom. I mean, it started becoming popularized in the 80s, and suddenly it appeared in children's books, dance parties, TV print, news stories, magazine articles, game shows, documentaries, VR parks, virtual adventures, and again, a horrible, horrible naming, Voomies. No. 1991, Virtuality, powered by the Amiga 3000, had 9 games. Now, this was the first system that really started to be successful. It was broadly marketed, consumer-oriented. It was network pods for multiplayer gaming, and it sort of seemed pretty nice, and the marketing images promised that you could go scuba diving with this sucker, and the reality, of course, was fairly crude. It's a blurry screenshot, but you get the idea. 1991, the Virtual Research Flight Helmet, again, Leap Optics. 1992, Lawnmower Man, what a classic. You get that tight spandex suit on, you suspend yourself in a ring, you're getting electric shocks from some steamy remote partner in the Cybersex SM. Iconic movie. I failed to find the origin of this full body rotation setup. I'd love to know if somebody knows about it. Please tell me more. Okay, The Cave, computer-assisted virtual environment. You're standing inside the box. Projectors. They're still being used today, actually. It's an easy system to get into since you don't need all this gear, you're just standing inside. 1994, the Immersa Desk. Again, I would love to play with one of those, it looks nice. 1994, Project Elysium from the same guys who made Virtuality. This was used in architectural and construction applications. 1995, the Virtual Boy. I'll take a bit more longer with this again. Second attempt to get this show on the road for the masses. From the legendary inventor of the Game & Watch and the Game Boy, Gunpei Yokoi. Monochrome red stereo display, parallax depth illusion. It was cool, it had a strong marketing campaign, didn't sell well, wasn't really that immersive, bad ergonomics, you had to like hunch over, keep your face still. Monocolor, lack of head tracking, it was clear this toy isn't really virtual at all, but interesting point, they had a new controller for it to facilitate Z movement, which resembled the controllers of today with 2D pads for both thumbs. 1995, the Holo Sketch. These guys got an interesting circular GUI layout going on there, and they abandoned the Power Glove completely for a custom controller because the hand rotation is so limited. They wanted to be able to really get that fast selection thing going. And the current definition of VR is demanding realistic interface, and that's outdated rubbish. It's whatever interface tools suit the job are fine. 1996, Ghost in the Shell, the movie. And the comic visualizes a lot of both augmented reality and virtual reality, also AI technology. Masamune Shiro, the comic artist from Japan, also famous for Appleseed. Lots of very interesting visions of future tech, design, well worth checking out. 1997, the 3D IVS, three-dimensional immersive virtual sculpting, introduces the user interface. So I don't actually have a picture of it, but they had it as a wearable wristwatch type interface that you carry around in the scene. Groundbreaking stuff. 1998, $300, Scuba from Philips. 1998, the Other Zone movie. Shows the bad guy with an AR monocle. He's accessing all the cameras in the city with it. 1999, The Matrix. We all know that. 2000 to 2008, the EV virtual environment at Helsinki University of Technology. Started playing around with stuff, and all this tree drawing, cave paint, Helma, everybody's starting to mess around. You've got both gloves, you're designing prototypes in 3D. The precision was still quite low, so you couldn't really do very nice stuff, but you could make rough prototypes quite well. This is an interesting one, the Step WIM, hand-free multi-scale navigation. So it's a rough pick again, but this image shows that he's in a gallery and that's the architectural plan under his feet. And with this fancy footwear, you could like toe the floor and move large distances in the cave-type environment. Probably a dead end, who knows. 2002, the pop-through button device. I think this is very nice. They've got the finger sleeve, tri-state button, two clearly distinguished activation states, pressing lightly or firmly on the button surface. Also it had a pointer. And this is a nice small design. You think these rings are coming out now, they're not new. This is basically the same thing. I think this should work really well with like low-end introductory level VR or AR. 2002, virtual reality exposure therapy for the World Trade Center post-traumatic stress disorder victims. So this sort of therapy thing has been experimented before, but this really brought it out into the limelight. So you're getting desensitized to the trauma by reliving the event. These are used quite fairly often these days, if you have the money for it, I suppose, for various traumas, phobias. If you're scared of spiders, you hang around with spiders. Snow World, that was for burn victims. So this cold and chill virtual environment made it easier to dampen the pain when you're changing the bandages of burn victims. 2003, Second Life. It's not VR, it's a metaverse. You're like a completely separate world. They're now making a reincarnation for Oculus Rift. Damn, time goes fast. The Haptic Cow by Sarah Bailey, first used in farm animal teaching in Glasgow, now used in several vet schools. Helma, the drawing from Finland, Tekoko, Pluto, Wolf, 2004, virtual air guitar, very smooth. These guys are still making similar experimental control systems for video games like Kung Fu High Impact. A similar interface called the Mimu recently failed a Kickstarter. 2005, the Virtus Spear. Apparently the problem is it takes a second to stop. 1 in 10 users stumble when they use it. No hospitalization so far as I know. 2006, the Toshiba helmet. You can see Toshiba, they make TVs, the design obviously influenced by that. 2007, 6 Sense True Motion, now making the STEM system. 2008, Hoodie-DD, the high-end wearable display device. It's a cool $80,000. Not for everybody. And I'm going to skip for the last 5 years to the only really interesting thing I've seen that's making something different. Everything else is just iterating. The tactical haptics controller simulates the feel of actually something twisting in your hand. So when you're swinging a sword around, these 4 little black sliders are sliding around and you feel like something's really happening there. So, like I said, I had to skip a lot of cool stuff to make this fit. I would love to go on about the advances, especially in neural interfacing, cyborg stuff, the implications of that. Keep it short, I'll say that I believe sticking tightly to the preconceptions of what is VR and AR is, in my mind, counterproductive. That, in my mind, the optimal situation is that you could be able to slide seamlessly from AR to VR back. And one of the only things at the moment that's sort of giving that promise to me is Castar. I'm very interested in that. You just flip, it's AR and you put an extra lens on and it becomes VR. Fast moves, fast moves. I guess we have time for a short question or two if anybody's up for it. Microphone coming your way.
Yes, so I read online about this. People are starting to get the Oculus Rift development kits, and you talked about these early systems with the after images, and I've heard reports of people saying that, like, yeah, I bought a VR helmet and now I have these kind of strange sensations, like I guess kind of confusing reality and virtual reality. Are you worried about this kind of thing going forward?
I would take it very seriously. Prolonged usage of these devices will undoubtedly cause some after effects, possibly distress for a majority of users. I recommend investigating the guy Steve Mann. I mentioned it before. He's written a lot of articles about this. Three, 2, 1, last call. I'll show a screenshot from my upcoming game later this year. Thank you.
And I have made 4 games for it. Then I also ventured into the mobile VR depths and made the 1 game for Durovis Dive. And I will say that don't venture into mobile VR yet. Wait, it's very hard to make anything that actually is fun to play. That's a screenshot of the mobile game. So it was a racing game. You have to have like this third-party exclusive gameplay tab to even play it in AR or VR. So let's go to the postmoderns. I have 4 games here to show. And first of them is Puss Puss Platypus. It was made in 48 hours. We had a team of 4 people, and it was made for a competitive game jam called Indie Speedrun. And here is a short gameplay video of it. So you are this platypus, and you are kissing all around. And you play the game with the Oculus Rift in your head, and you look around, and then you need to make smooching sounds in the microphone, like to shoot the kisses. So it looks amazing when people play it. Like, it's super fun. And it's also fun to play. Yeah. Go with the like really colorful style. It's easy to make for 48 hours. And this was my first introduction to Oculus Rift, so at the beginning of this jam was the same time as I got the Rift on my hands. So, what went well in this project? Everyone loves kissing and kissing sound, so usually you shoot in the game, so we want to do something absolutely counterintuitive, so you need to do the kissing sounds. It looks fun, it's fun to do, and people love it. There was some things that didn't go so well. So, for example, people do very different kissing sounds. So when you say, some people like, do a kissing sound in the microphone, like 10 people do 10 different kissing sounds. So, and then, of course, this kind of game don't have that much depth, so it's kind of like a gimmicky game. It's like fun to play once or twice, but that's it. You can't really expand it that much. And because of that, we didn't have that much time to polish and test the game. And there's actually head bobbing in the game, which I didn't notice until we released the game. Because one of our programmers made head bobbing because he thought that head bobbing is natural movement when you are going forward. And head bobbing is one of the worst things causing simulator sickness when using head-mounted display. But it's so subtle that most people don't even notice it. So it's the only head bobbing I've ever seen that doesn't actually cause people to puke that much. Okay, so next game, Magical Rift Heroine. This jam actually had a time frame of three months, and I made it within the 3 last days of those 3 months, because I didn't even know about the jam before that. So this is the first rhythm game I have ever seen in VR, and it's kind of like Guitar Hero, but you are using your head tracking to play the notes. So looking at the notes and jamming at the same time as music, it's super fun, super easy to do. And you don't need to move in the virtual environment, it's very safe and comfortable. When I released the game, a few weeks later, PewDiePie made a video of it, and it has like 3 million views currently. And I was like, thank you. Of course, I didn't have any spike on downloads because none of the PewDiePie's fans own Oculus Rift development kit once.
Vittu mennyt game läpi! Siellä ei ollut tarpeeksi paikkoja.
Реакции надо публике, надо микрофону в обратную сторону. У меня свой есть, могу туда положить. Раз, два.
1024 bytes. Executable must contain everything. All techniques allowed.
There was potential, but somehow I missed the... It's painful.
Totally crappy engines.
Tell Facebook. Use Facebook. Why can't I? I'm not in Facebook.
But it can't be very cold now because it's been in the sunlight.
I have socks from coolers. I gifted my last balloon to Preston. 2 years ago we had coolers balloons. The same time.
See any familiar?
Free beer if you want.
Tämä motoriikka on oikein pelata sellainen. Ai täällä on jäitä sitten tuolla laittaa. Mutta kyllähän tää on viileämpää tässä.
Не буду позориться своими.
No siis kaikki mitä käyttöjärjestelmä tarjoaa.
Can you repeat please? Yeah, big man. So?
Sorry, what was the question?
What was your job at Remedy?
Well, since I was one of the founders of Remedy, I pretty much worked on all of the games so far. But for the Max Payne games, I was the lead graphic designer, and for the Alan Wake games, I was the lead technical artist, which means I kill people for money. That's a pretty good description.
Who was the author of this drawing in Max Payne?
Like the silhouette, like the logo silhouette, like the black and white logo.
No, I mean there's several parts in game that you see like comics.
Oh, they were actually done by a guy called Peter. What was the name of the guy who's the lead singer of the Poets of the Fall?
Marko Saaristo.
Marko Saaristo, yeah. He was like just a friend of ours, and he was just sort of like asked to, can you help us out, because we were like very much a friend or family thing back then, and he was just like he did like the comic book drawings, but like if you mean the what do you call graphic novel things, they were done by a guy called Kia Kallio and Sami
Saramäki.
Sami Saramäki. Good that someone has his memory back. Like they did the graphic novel things.
But the Captain Baseball Bat Boy comic strips were drawn by Marko Saaristo. He's not just a singer, he's also a cartoon artist, and he's a martial artist. Like when Max Payne did those ukemi jumps, he was the guy who did them on a tatami, and we recorded on video so we could animate Max Payne doing
and he
the
would
ukemis.
be the guy who would sort of like hand rotoscope them, and then when he would get bored with it, I would get to fix it.
Rotoscoping, so no motion capture?
No motion capture.
We couldn't afford motion capture, so we just recorded video for reference and then used that as reference when hand animating the characters. So it was a lot of hard work.
A lot of work.
You know, and then for the I mean, obviously we did a lot of stuff like related to voiceovers and thinking with like all the motions with that, and like just getting to. Well, let's say it was complicated, but then again we had a really small team, so it was like it just all worked out together without too much hassle. So it was kind of.
And then Remedy started growing and growing. And for Max Payne 2, we actually did get motion capture, but it was only used in the cutscenes, and then the in-game animations were not really motion captured. We could motion capture so like running. If you had a small studio, you don't have room to run at full speed, so you could capture a full run cycle. So. We could take a little bit of a run cycle and use that as a basis for the hand animation, but we had to animate most of the in-game animations by hand. Because you had to do lots of different directions, like diagonals and everything, and motion capturing all of them would have been just a big mess.
So actually, this is the guy who animated all that stuff, and then, well, I guess by the time when I guess you would call it when the leather jacket, which was also keyframed by him, started clipping into the animations when they were blending, and it just all got really like sort of like nasty. It was sort of like he was like, can you give this to someone who's not an animator? And then like I got to do all those like non-clipping things. It was like it was fun. It worked out fine. It was
and
like
we also hired one guy. What's his name? In the cutscenes, he had to hand animate the jacket because we couldn't simulate the physics of it, so it just had to be hand animated to make sure it doesn't clip through Max. So yeah.
Tommi Anttila.
Tommi Anttila. He's the guy who hand animated the jacket in the Max Payne 2 cutscenes.
Like a freelance animator, and like he's again an awesome guy. We wouldn't want to work with other awesome guys back then, but like yeah. I'm not sure what was your original question. We kind of got sidetracked to begin with. But we should meet Timo here. He's one of the main programmers on Remedy's current big Quantum Break project. The kind of guy who doesn't really talk that much, but he's awesome.
thanks.
This guy is awesome.
And we got drink.
About Alan Wake.
I need a refill.
Actually, I didn't play Alan Wake too much because it's scary. But this guy likes the game.
Thank you. Yeah. That was a pretty difficult project. So like it started out as an open world game, and then it turned out to be a fairly linear game with open world technology behind it. But, well, it got shipped, and it got like. I mean, I think we're all very proud of what we achieved with it. It's like so the expectations we're looking to do with it, but yeah, it's always when dealing with such big productions, it's like difficult to change the course midway on like oh, we need to make it a little bit different. It's like no, you can't do that anymore. We'll just did that.
And who wrote the story?
Sam Lake, who's I think his Remedy's creative director, right? Yeah. So Sam Lake wrote the story also for the Max Payne games.
And he was the face of Max Payne in the first game.
And I've seen these short movies called Bright Falls, the prequel to Alan Wake, that appeared before the game has been released.
I think Microsoft did those.
I think Microsoft did those, and I probably shouldn't comment on them any further.
I see.
Yeah, we had a little. What was the name of the series running inside Alan Wake? The Zone. What was the name of the series?
Night Springs, yeah.
Night Springs, yeah. It was a Twilight Zone's parody, basically. And those were made by us inside Remedy. And then the Bright Falls series was produced by Microsoft, but it was kind of connected to Alan Wake, but very loosely. So it had the same kind of background story as Alan Wake, with these dark forces waking up and everything.
Kind of surreal something happening.
But I kind of liked a lot about Falls. I watched them again and again, many times, looked into these details, what's happening.
There are little details here and there where you could like sort of like draw a map of like which connects the dots in a way, and like they're quite. I mean, Sam Lake did a very thorough job of connecting, like making the dots very hard to connect, but you can actually connect the dots, but it's like it's hard. Yeah, it's kind of like a bit more into the. Like, let's make this art instead of mainstream.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what's your name?
Sorry, my hands are really dirty.
That's okay.
Sammy, but from demo scene point of view, I would be known as Reward. Sink in for a while, and then we need to find some fire. Anyone you got like a matches or
databases? Your programmer you can do it. Yes.
Can you use your glasses?
This is how we roll.
Fire in the hole. Yeah, there you go.
That's gonna be fun.
You can use this. I think.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, good, you got another one.
Burn, baby, burn.
Никто не знает, для чего капривол, представляешь, Кевин? Он такой, вон он, идем по
something for like months and years, and you're working on something, then it all goes to waste. Yeah.
Okay, your turn.
To estimate the depth.
Я настроил, типа, wake up, компьютер включался вечером.
Oh, I didn't recognize you.
We have our wisers.
Yes.
Oh, this correct is okay. Or not? Make a punch ready, and we're going to go to the living room. How it will be great. So, here's the living room, and there's a balcony there, and I just make the punch.
Yeah, I really thought it was the.
Don't bother with the rest.
To take a silent party in the flame.
To have a social event. We are at assembly at the same time. We are going to a new silent performance.
So who did this?
This is the picture of main screen on the
So you have a sweet.
stream.
That's really nice.
Actually, to watch this on iPad, I was lucky to buy Slotfire. It was the first Slotfire I bought for iPad. I didn't.
This is our tram, and do you all have tickets? Do you have
tickets?
Yes. Okay.
So we can go for one day tickets.
Осторожно, был.
Never tried it. Okay, like first time.
Сразу видно, что это бесплатно.
Это все снимает.
So this is in Finnish, Raitiovauva. Raitiovauva, it's a tram.
Raitiovauva?
Yes.
It's nice. It's nice. So it's one of the best for Parotech. Parotech, не, это следующее. Это была Нифига себе. What's for
Very bad picture, so eyes closed.
Usually okay.
Белое пятно.
Math, but I was very good at physics, but this language was like, I was like, really? You have to have that many rules for that language. I learned,
Блин, долбанный свет.
Tiukka viimeinen matsi kahden välillä. Niin, kumpikaan ei uskalla hyökätä selkeästi tässä vaiheessa vielä. Nyt on aika hyökätä, nyt tulee nopeita musiikkia, nyt on vähän liikkua, ei tarvitse repiä, riemua. Ai, sieltä tuli. Otetaan vielä yksi koitti, jos ton jälkeen alkaa sitten peli. Nyt kaikki on päässyt suurin piirtein jokainen meistä. Painakaa nappia taas sieltä. Ja peli alkaa. Ja. Go!
Petros.
Yeah, that's me.
Alright.
That was cool.
Thanks.
Kiitos, oli helvetin hauska soittaa. Porukka näytti aika lämpiä nopeasti.
Kyllä.
Joo, ei mitään, tuolla kohta perässä.
Näemme saunassa.
Jee, näin tehdään.
Tää tonne.
There you go.
Okay.
Keep it a little bit time open.
Okay.
So if
thank you.
This is better. Thanks.
This is cool. See you next time.
Yeah. See you next time. Definitely.
Ну, как тебе вкратце?
Как не вкратце? Вчера был зачетный день. Он каждый год, короче, снимает мою музыку и потом показывает репорт, типа, как ассемблер. Вообще, в принципе, основные компа, я имею в виду интро, демо-компа были отличные. По сравнению с прошлым годом, просто зашибись. Вот. А вот всякие мюзик-компа, отстой полный. То есть разучились люди музыку писать. Вот.
Все же ассембли еще то.
Ну, как сказать. Если бы не бузембли, да, в принципе. Вот, если бы не какие-нибудь еще радикалово разные внешне. Ты вот спроси вот нашего
я спрошу. Новенький, расскажи, как тебе было?
Ну, про Music Compa. Я удивился, что разрешены были работы даже с таких программ, как Guitar Pro.
Ага.
Ну, то есть я думал, здесь такой чистый чипюн, чистый трекер. Там, ну, не знаю. Но это сродни MIDI, даже хуже. Такой кон. Ну, да, есть толика разочарования, но в целом все классно, все прикольно. Я очень ошеломлен с этим всем происходящим. Мне ассемблер очень понравилось. Спасибо Леше за эту поездочку.
Ты еще не был в Фортвол-арене?
Не был. Ну, я надеюсь, когда-нибудь там окажусь.
Тоже надеюсь, что там еще будет ассемблер.
Эх, ну что еще сказать? Клево, в общем, было. Рад увидеть был тебя. Просто пообщались.
Ну-ка, теперь ты расскажи.
Что?
Рассказывай. Все, что у тебя на уме.
Впечатление.
Ну, был рад вас повидать.
Громче тебя не слышу,
в том числе.
Все. Хорошо.
Масштабнее. Странные люди, странные компьютеры у них. гирлянды там всякие. Забавно.
Осуществилась мечта детства. Ну, посетить Асам. Это ж мечта детства. Признайтесь себе, вам хотелось побывать на Асам. Хотелось бы посмотреть Second Reality на большом экране.
И увидеться со Скевином.
И увидеться со Скевином и сказать: чувак, спасибо, ты там сделал мое детство. Он оказался.
И ты сделал Alan Wake.
Alan Wake классный.
2 на 1.
Siitä menee puusta. Mä en ymmärrä miksi tuo.
Joo, tää on vähän parempi. Joo, nyt tää on parempi.
Hello, Assembly! Oi! Wow, 4 days coming to close. You know, every time the party starts, I feel super excited, even after 22 years, seeing you guys come, waiting and anticipating what the competitions are going to be like. Otetaan Slovalle parhaat teidän äänestyksen perusteella. In this 1K Intro competition here at Assembly Summer 2014, let's see about the 3 best of stage. On the 3rd spot, with 1,958 points, let's give it up for Voxlerator by Digimine. And the winner, with 1,500 points more, an incredible feat of size coding, kestämätön Superstructure by TDA. We got Digimine with Voxlerator. Congrats. Second place goes to Stellar Drinks Food by Traction Plus Fist. And the winner is TDA with Superstructure. Käsittämätöntä. kuten sanoin, toi todella tiukka one intro. This was incredibly tight, and every time a new intro opened up, I'm like, holy crap! Can anybody top this stuff? And I say, this is really awesome. How did you feel like participating when you saw the other people what they're doing?
Well, first time I saw Fraction Fits intro, I thought, hey, that's the winner.
I can say that probably was the mutual feeling from your side. Like,
yeah, we had the totally same feeling about the TNA intro. Glad to lose the so good production.
I can say this is probably a thing that lifts the bar. Like, holy crap, how do I top this? Maybe next year? Wait, you got 12 months. Give it up for these insane creators of the 1K intro competition. Second spot, toisella sijalla 4801 pistettä, 4,894 points. Demokrokkisen palkitaan 5 parasta. Ne on iloinen, että me tehdään niin, koska nämä kaikki 5 on ihan sairaan hyviä. Nyt on ilo katsoa, on ilo taputtaa, on ilo huutaa.
Дай сфоткать тебя, кину, покажу. Блин, так ты снимаешь. Конечно. Смотри, что у меня... Давай сейчас сфоткаю тебя.
Awesome shit, man. I tell you. Katsotaan, mitä mieltä te olette ollut. Kuka voitti? Kuka vei? Kiitos sieltä ykköseen paikkaan. In the demo competition here at Assembly Summer 2014. Make it here this year. You know what to do next year. Enter kasaan ja assuille. Make that demo and come on here. Mutta muutakin tehtiin.
Kyllä vain. Meillähän oli myös pelikilpailuita paikalla ja Assembly TV:tä. Jos ajatellaan, tehtiin historiaa suomalaisessa TV-lähetyksessä ja eSportsissa. Ei haluta sitäkään puolta unohtaa. Ja hyvin te olette tuntunut keskenään täällä toimivan. Vähän tuli kuoket kiinni, mutta ei paljon. Se kuuluu aina asiakkaille. Monella ansainnut vapaarit nämä.
Ja.
I'd sound like this, man.
Oh, it's like weird. I was thinking